Right, Evan, how are we getting on?
Not too bad, Jeremy.
Good, good. Look, I just want to run through your journey. Obviously, I get a lot of guys reaching out that way in a almost similar position to you before. But
hmm
yeah, just take it from the start. What was life like before getting into remote sales and doing this full time?
So I left school in 2023, and basically, yeah, September came around. All my mates were going to uni. I was just like, I don't want to do that, and I was just completely lost, to be honest.
Mhm.
So what I did was I just ended up working a few jobs, working in a school, worked in a hospital, cleaned cars, and just basically worked for a year. And by the end of that year, I saved up enough to go traveling, but I had nothing to show for it. I had nothing to show for it after that year. So it was a case of like I really thought about making money online throughout that year. Like I bought a few like dodgy courses that were like 20 or 30 quid on how to like do YouTube ads or how to do faceless content. And it was like, yeah, I tried things, but it got me nowhere. And then over that summer, after I went traveling around Europe, I tried to start my own business. I tried to start my own social media marketing businesses. And it was like I have no clue what I'm doing here. Everyone made it look like it's so easy, and it's like, but I realized that you need to be able to sell, and then that kind of led me to look into like your content, other lads' content, and I seen basically there's lads like taking sales calls from their laptop that like look like me, talk like me, from the UK, from Ireland.
Yeah.
They're making some really good money, and I was like, how do I get into this? So for a couple of months, basically tried to get into it by myself, just couldn't, got nowhere. And I was still trying to do the SMMA and I still couldn't sell. So then eventually reached out, got help. This was sort of 2024, September, October time. So about a year ago now.
Okay, okay. Yeah, right, okay. So you left school, like it is a weird dilemma that people get in, where it's just like either
Mhm.
trade or uni. You kind of just went like your own path and just
Mhm.
went working and then just so where were you working?
I was working in a primary school. I was working in a
Oh,
private hospital as a receptionist. And then I had like my own sort of car valet business.
okay, okay. And then you saved up money and then you just went traveling for a year, did you say?
No, I went traveling that summer
All
for a
right.
month.
Okay, okay.
So it is.
And then you came back and then you still felt just a bit lost with everything like,
Yeah, I thought I was gonna like work for a year and then end up making like a shit ton of money if I just worked like 60 hours a week. But then it was like, yeah, I made enough to go traveling, had a good time, but then came back and had nothing to show for it.
right.
And then throughout that year, sort of whenever I was working those three jobs, I really had thought about making money online. And like I say, I bought those like 30 quid courses, got me nowhere.
Right.
And I was like, right, I need to like trying to start my own SMA business. I was like, I need a skill. I have no skills here. And then I seen yourself, I seen other people, Conrad, whoever,
Mhm.
talking about sales and marketing, how important they are, how it's the foundation of every business.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So would you say when you came back from the summer of travel and that was like the pivotal moment for you to be like, right, I need to actually do something?
Yeah, it was as well, like whenever I was traveling, I had a great time. And I was like, I would love to be able to do this. Like I'm only 19, I was only 19 at the time. I was like, I would love to be able to do this and just kind of go anywhere and work anywhere in the world. And obviously with the remote sales, that's a massive opportunity with it.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And even like, so take us back to obviously when you did start the program, what's your journey been like since then? How long did you go into setting first? Like, how did your journey actually go?
So I was actually able to land a role within 5 weeks. And so I did quite well, quite quickly, but then it was probably like a blessing and a curse because it was almost like, I got almost this ego from it and thought I was really the man. And I really wasn't. And I ended up losing that role. And it was a case of, with like the guidance from Trinity yourself, Conrad, it was like basically, okay, you still have a long way to go. And it was kind of bring me back down to earth, but also realizing I had the potential to do it. And it was difficult, getting a role again, but I wanted to give up quite a few times. It was like, why don't I just go to uni? Why don't I just maybe get a trade? But it was like yourself, the other lads at Trinity make me realize like, there's potential here. And that kind of accountability was key for me.
Yeah, 100%. Like, what would you say stopped you? Because a lot of people will, have doubts and stuff, and
Mhm.
What stopped you from just going back down the traditional route, like going back to uni, going into a trade? Like, why did you just keep
Mhm.
going and sticking with this?
So basically, I feel like there's two ways to look at it. People say, obviously, this is a risk and doing this is a risk. But then other people say, no, I don't want to go to uni. I don't want to do this trade forever. I don't want to work this job forever. So what's the real risk? Either, you know, chasing everything you ever wanted, achieving this, getting in the remote sales, working, traveling, wherever you want in the world, or actually living another 30 years of a life that you know you don't want. So I looked at it like that and I realized the real risk was not doing this.
Yeah, 100%. I think people don't really think about it at this age, I think.
Hmm.
But they sort of realize when it's too late, when they're like
Exactly.
30 and miserable. So you get the appointment setting rule, like you said, you kind of ego got in the way a little bit with it.
Hmm.
What happened after that then? When did you go? Because you're obviously closing full time now. What was the
Hmm.
progression to that point?
What was the what, sorry?
What was the progression from when you were on the setting rule, didn't really go your way,
Hmm.
to now obviously closing full time?
So it was basically back to the drawing board and, we're still working full time, but also just doing this on the side, getting that training and just building that skill up to kind of where I am now.
Mhm.
And yeah, just taking it bit by bit, getting feedback, doing role plays, jumping on live sessions, getting real proper coaching from, yourself, the other lads at Trinity who've been there and walked that path that, I was trying to walk and that I'm walking now.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And has there been any like achievements, even like in terms of getting into closing and stuff, that you've reached
Mhm.
any milestones or anything like that?
Yeah, well, I suppose like my close rate at the minute is 35% and my target's 20%. That's kind of the standard in the industry. So doing pretty well with the calls I'm getting booked in. And like for example, there when I came back from traveling, I used to work in Tesco. I kind of had to get a job in Tesco just to keep me going alongside. And I used to earn about 900 quid a month. So and then last Tuesday I actually made 600 quid in one day
Yeah.
from two sales calls. So, making what was that, like 75% of my monthly income in the space of a couple of hours throughout a day. And then that week went on to be four figures, so over 1,000. So I'm making more than what I did in a month in a week. And, that was a pretty average week, to be honest, for the offer I'm on.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. That's unreal. Like, so, because a lot of people do get a bit skeptical, oh, too good to be true and all
Mhm.
that. But even for you, then, like, what's kind of the offer that you're on now?
Mhm.
And yeah, just tell us a bit more about that. Just because a lot of people reach out to be
Mhm.
like, well, what is it that you actually sell and all that?
Mhm.
So yeah, just a bit of a rundown on your offer.
So the offer I'm on now is essentially we help people get into tech sales. So tech sales for any, it's very simple. It's basically you're working B2B. It's a legit corporate job. So we help people land those roles. Obviously, the lads who run the offer were in tech sales themselves, know exactly how to do it. And basically our fulfillment rate is unbelievable. Like every single person that I basically take on board, that I close into the program, gets exactly what they're promised essentially on the call, and which is essentially a job in tech sales, which is basically the average starting salary there is like 65 to 85,000 in Ireland. So, I'm actually making a real difference in helping people. It's not a case of, just selling random stuff I don't believe in. So it's a legit offer opportunity in actual B2C sales for myself.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, because I think a lot of people you do get confused on what high ticket offers actually are. But like you say,
Hmm.
something that you actually believe in, you're actually like passionate
Hmm.
about, you're actually making a difference in people's lives. Because people just come into this with the money mindset and they just, oh, I want to work remotely, I want to make money. But you actually do get a lot of fulfillment from it as well. So
100%.
going from that then to what you're doing now, what's the plan for the future, would you say? Where would you like to be? What's going to go on in the next, like, I don't know, year?
So I would definitely say just keep closing. Get as good as I can at closing because like people don't realize that sales, if you can sell and you can market, obviously with building a personal brand and stuff as yourself has really helped.
Yeah.
Obviously for business owners are able to get eyes on me and see me as a person. And that was what really actually helped me get this role as well in one now. So if you're able to sell, if you're able to market, like the saying goes, the world's your oyster. You can do anything. And I think having those core skills is massive. So further down the line, probably having like my own offer, whether it's fitness, whether it's sales, whether it's anything. Because I think once you have those core skills, you can do anything because they are that valuable.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like you were saying before, you tried starting up your SMMA business or whatnot, and it was like you didn't know how to sell. And I think a lot of people get caught in
Hmm.
that trap coming into the space. They just don't have the skills it takes to create business. I think I seen a stat was like 90% of online businesses fail in the first year.
Yeah.
So it's like people do get disheartened about the whole space, hence why people are skeptical, I think. So even for you then, just to finish off, what would you say to someone who's on the fence about this, who maybe has been burnt in the past or doesn't really
Hmm.
know anything about the space or yeah, just a bit skeptical about anything? What would you say to them?
Well, it's like, you know, we always use analogies in sales, we're taught them. And it's like, if you've had a girlfriend before and didn't go so well, and obviously it ended, is that going to stop you from actually finding another girlfriend and potentially finding your wife? And it's the same thing with this. It sounds stupid, but it's the same with this. It's like, I bring it back to what I said with the risk. So people obviously come looking into this and they realistically don't like the life they're living and they don't see it get much better. And obviously they see this as sometimes taking a risk. So what do you want to do? Do you want to take a risk getting everything you've ever wanted, or take a risk and say exactly where you are, where you know nothing's going to change?
Yeah,
So I think people know what they need to do. I think it's just overcoming that fear and, putting your ego to the side and realizing, if you want to learn the skill, you want to make money online, you want to be a closer, you want to be a setter, you realistically need that help to, first of all, get the training, learn the skill, and also land a good high quality role that you believe in, which is what I've got now.
yeah, 100%. Well, look, Evan, thank you very much for that. And I'll probably be doing like a catch-up testimonial, let's say in the next 6 to 12 months, where you've hit
Mhm.
another milestone or whatever. But no, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No problem at all, man. Have you got everything you needed there then? Yeah.